Years ago, I shot 10 bags of heroin every day. Heroin is a beast, and that beast has infiltrated every town and city in America. In 2016, 64,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose of opioids. I hope that the stories we bring you on this show save lives in 2018. I'm Richie Farrell. I'm a heroin addict.
Hi, welcome to I'm a Heroin Addict. I'm Jasmine and I am a heroin addict. If this is your first time watching the show, welcome. We're happy to have you. For those of you that are tuning in and have been viewing, happy to see you again. The show is taking a little bit of a shift, and that's really cool, and it's really exciting because we're always learning and we're always growing as spiritual beings. And so Richie Farrell, the gentleman that just did the intro, is no longer going to be the host of the show. I'm the host now. We still love Richie, and he'll still be filling in as a co-host. He's off doing like bigger and better things and doing other things elsewhere for recovery and to help people, which that's what this is really about. So it's an honor to introduce our new co-host. Our new co-host is Bobby.
Hi, how you guys doing?
For the viewers that didn't watch last week, Bobby, why don't you just tell everyone a little bit about yourself so they can start getting to know you and get comfortable with you?
Sure. So, again, my name is Bobby. I'm from Fairfield County, Connecticut. I moved up to New Hampshire about 2.5 years ago to get sober after my own battle with addiction. And I went from high school diploma, no discernible job skills, to now I work in the field. I try to help as many people as I can, and I like to have a good life today.
And for those of you that weren't watching the show 2 weeks ago, I would just like to let you know that Bobby admitted on the show that he is the guy in Connecticut that robbed everyone's cars.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Up to 2015.
It's not that person anymore, though.
No.
And that turnaround is exactly what recovery can do for you. It's a lot of work, but it's certainly worth it. So it's really cool, and for everyone watching, I just want you guys to know that we didn't plan wearing matching shirts. Just happened.
I mean, great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Blue's my color. It's just, it happens.
You told me salmon was your color.
I have a lot of colors.
Okay.
I have a lot of colors. It's okay.
Let's see.
You'll keep up. It's okay.
Okay. All right. So we have a really awesome show for you guys today, and I'm really excited for our guest. Because being in recovery, I have had the opportunity and the ability to meet so many amazing individuals who were placed in my life exactly when I needed them. And our Skype guest today is someone who made a very profound impact in my life and in my sobriety when I first got sober. And she's still thriving and she's doing really awesome things. So it's an honor to introduce Dana. Hi, Dana.
Hi.
Hi, Dana.
Hi, Bobby. Hi, Jasmine.
How are you?
How are you doing today?
I'm so good.
Good.
I miss you.
I know. This is so cool. I'm so excited to have you on the show. So when I was in treatment, Dana was in treatment with me, and I was miserable. I was the definition of a red bomb, and I was miserable, and I was so rigid. And if you didn't pay attention to the rules and you didn't do them exactly how they were supposed to be, like, I lashed out at you. And Dana taught me how to lighten up.
So you were the teacher's pet. She was a class clown. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, she got me into watching South Park.
You've never watched that?
No, I did, but I was so serious and like so scared to not be serious that like I wouldn't allow myself to watch TV.
Really?
I was so fearful.
So basically, Dana, you just brought some fun into the world.
Pretty much, but maybe a little too much at times.
I don't know if that's actually a thing.
It was.
If you ask the staff, it might have been.
If you ask Chris, it was a thing.
Oh, we're not asking Chris. It's okay.
Hold on. Should we share?
Okay, yeah, so. It was like my first day there, maybe, I think, and I was like already in trouble with the CEO or whatever he is over there.
So this facility brought us off campus to go to outside things.
Yeah.
And Dana dropped Biggie Smalls lyrics in her share.
I respect that.
Hold on, was it Biggie? Did you drop Biggie Smalls or was that Katie?
No, that was Kate.
What did you? What was yours?
I was a 50-cent lyric from. No, wait, it was a game. It was a game.
Really?
Hate it or love it, yeah. The beginning, like, lyric.
Okay. I've accidentally dropped a Biggie quote in my share before. If you don't know, now you know.
I think that might have been what started it, actually, that exact quote.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, Dana, so the disease of addiction or whatever, whether you think it is a disease, whether you don't think it is a disease, it doesn't really matter. How did this all start for you?
I guess it all started when I was about 12. I had my first drink, and the first time I drank, I got drunk, and I blacked out. And when I woke up the next morning, I immediately was like, I want to do that again. Like, I can't wait to do that again. And, like, now knowing what I know, I realize that that is not normal or characteristic of a normal drinker. Like, some people never black out, and that was, like, an idea. I don't know, that just, like, blew my mind when I heard that some people don't have blackouts, because every time I drank or used drugs, I was using to be unconscious and to be numb. Oh. And so, like, it just continued from there, basically, with just, like, drinking as much as I could, using whatever drugs I could get my hands on, and always having that feeling of it never being enough and always wanting more. And that could be applied to literally anything in my life. So yeah, it just kind of started like that, and then obviously took me down a road to opiates and heroin, and spiraled from there.
It's hard to believe looking at her, because you're such a beautiful, bright young lady. You really are. How old are you now?
I'll be 26 in September.
26. So at the age of 12, you had your first drink, and it progressed. When did it start progressing from alcohol into other substances? Like, how did that progression happen for you?
Well, I think I was 14 the first time I tried marijuana, and then all through high school it was pretty much whatever I could get my hands on, smoking weed every day, getting drunk all the time, and then I had tried, like, coke and, hallucinogens and stuff like that all throughout high school, and I had tried painkillers, but at first I didn't really like them. And then around, I want to say, like, 19, I tried painkillers again, and I was like, oh, okay, like, I like this, and at first it was obviously just a weekend thing or at a party or whatever after a long night at work, but eventually, pretty soon, I want to say within a few months,
Dana, can you hear us? Hello.
Hey, you there?
Oh, she's smiling. Okay, all right. Well, while we wait for that stuff to work itself out,
Yeah.
I can certainly identify with that. I had my first drink at the age of 12.
Same here. And the whole concept to me, right, of people can like have a few drinks and don't go for blackout.
Yeah.
That was just so foreign to me.
I know.
Like that like just literally didn't make sense to me.
I don't even know why someone would want to drink to not get drunk.
I heard normal people like the taste. I don't.
If you're watching and you're normal, is that true?
I mean, like, does anybody really like a natty daddy? I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the whole thing of like, and I think the whole process of doing it young, you don't know what's normal.
Right.
You know, and like,
Yeah.
why are you gonna immediately jump to the fact that like you have a serious problem when you're, 15 and you're just getting started? You know, after a couple years of like, okay, here's some early warning signs, but like, why am I going to take action at that young age?
Hey, Dana, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Okay. So, yeah. So I know, well, by the age of 14, I was a full-blown drug addict. And so that was like the identity that I had formed for myself in my mind, and I didn't really think that I was going to succeed or be much more than that. And that was like my truth all throughout my life until I finally like changed that mindset.
100%.
So, I don't know, for some reason, we have some kind of technical difficulties here. Okay.
But yeah, the whole identity thing, right? Like, I think everybody craves an identity. I think everybody's looking for a place, especially when you're young. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be this, I want to be that. You don't really know who you are at that moment, at that age. So anything that you can attach yourself with, you're going to go with.
Yeah, and for me, like that's the environment that I grew up in, which makes my story like really cool and obviously very special to me because it's my story. But like I grew up in a home that everyone was alcoholic and drug addicts, and like to be using substances at such an early age was normal, and it was almost encouraged as long as I did it under my roof. So to think that I could actually like break free from that, was something that I never, ever thought was possible. And to me, it's very inspiring. And I like to offer that to other people because, like, I'm telling you, there's a whole other world out there that you don't even know about.
And I think with me, like, I wanted to rebel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
like, I was that defiant kid that, like, I'm going to figure out my way around things.
I still am. I still like
100%. 100%. But, like, that was my identity, was that kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to go against everything.
You know what I would love to do for our viewers?
What?
I would love for us to bring in our pictures when we had grills. Talk about lost souls.
Oh, my God.
Bobby and I both had gold grills.
It was,
and we didn't even know each other. We were just like, we were totally on the same wavelength. Like, we both had grills, we're wearing blue shirts.
Yeah, great minds think alike.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, like, I feel like that whole rebellion thing's a big thing too. That like looking back on it, you could be like, oh wow, it's kind of like an early warning sign. But as a kid, you don't understand.
Yeah, of course. I was a behavioral addict long before I was ever, before I ever suffered from my substance abuse disorder, and like that's because the behaviors were treating the internal condition.
100%. And then to all outside eyes, you're just really into something.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like one of the big things about addiction and anything that goes along with that, right, is like there is inherently that stigma of like addiction is bad, right? So you're gonna see somebody doing that kind of stuff and you're just gonna be like, oh, it's just a phase, he's just going through it, and it's not something people want to address right off the rip. Yeah,
so we have a question, and I'm gonna let you answer it.
Okay.
So we have a question from Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
What's up, Sarah?
Has your family's been supportive of your recovery?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I bet they're happy you're not stealing from their vehicles anymore.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, my parents are both really good people. My entire family is really good people that just wants the best for me.
Yeah.
And whether that's me, it was told to me, like, I don't care if you're delivering pizzas, as long as you're happy. Right? And like it was so obvious that I wasn't happy when I was using, and like I'm me again.
Yeah.
I'm finally me again, and like.
Do you find that you are like like just like an even, for lack of a better word, because I can't like find the word that I want to put it, like a better version of you than you ever knew.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I could say I'm me again, but like, no, dude, like I am like a whole new person that like I didn't even know I could be.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? So like, I didn't know my potential.
Right.
I like, even
Yeah.
before, like I was okay with mediocrity. You know, I was okay with just getting by. You know, I remember telling people like, man, I just want to survive. I'm just trying to survive out here. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to thrive.
Yeah.
You know, and like the support for me to do that has been overwhelming. And it's like one of those things I couldn't ask for anything more.
Dana? Hi,
Hey!
Dana. Welcome. We missed you. That's okay. Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right. So welcome back. Bobby and I were just talking, you know, about like all the really awesome things that and like where recovery brought us, and how we found out that like we really sold ourselves short, and like how there is really actually like this greatness that resides inside of us. So tell us a little bit about your life today.
So mainly I'm just a mom to Cullen. He's my 9-month-old son. But I like work a couple nights a week now, and really I just try to be a better version of myself than I used to be. I still meet with my sponsor like on a regular basis. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, no, it's fine. But yeah, so I just basically meet with my sponsor on a regular basis. I still do my prayer and my meditation every day, and you know, inventory, and try to help others when I can.
Okay, that's awesome. So you said that you're a mom.
Yeah.
That's really cool because you weren't a mom when we were in treatment together.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't.
How is that? Like, how is that experience to be able to show up for your baby?
It's so amazing, honestly. Don't get me wrong, it's really hard, but it's also really beautiful and really amazing. And I'm so grateful that he never has to see me drunk or high.
Yeah, because you were pretty vicious with your using. I remember you came into treatment from jail.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
So hey, there's a question for you, Dana.
Sure.
So this is from Ashley. Hi, Ashley. Thank you for watching. Bobby, you want to read it? You read it.
Yeah, sure. Is it important to stay out of a relationship in the first year of recovery?
Okay, so basically all I can say is my experience, but for me,
No.
We're losing her again. I think it's a cancel and try again later on.
Okay.
Okay.
Bobby and I can take this question away.
Okay.
Bobby, do you think it's important to stay out of a relationship your first year of recovery?
So I've been told multiple things, right? And they all come from people I trust. One of the things I like to go by is like I could stay clean, sober.
Keep going, why stop?
Yeah. So yeah, the first year I could stay sober, but I could do also no work on myself, and I'm gonna be the same exact person as the first year, as the day I came in, right? I always believe that I should do solid amount of work on myself.
Right.
And then know who I am before I get into a relationship, because it's not fair to that other person. Also, I'm going to have a lot of deep-seated insecurities, and I'm going to project them on people.
Yeah.
And when they don't do what I want, it's going to be not a great thing for either of us, you know? And I've had too many horror stories.
Right.
Of what happens to people when they get in early sobriety relationships, and usually it's not a good end.
I've lost a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of friends.
Yeah.
But I think you brought up a really good point, because it just like, here's the deal in my experience. If you're not ready to do the work and you're not ready to get honest with yourself, like, you're not ready.
No, and that's the thing. So, like, why subject anybody else to that? You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, my experience, Ashley, thank you for asking. So as I was sharing with Dana, sorry guys about all the technical difficulties that we had with that. I'm not really sure what's going on with Skype today, but regardless, it's what it was meant to be. So my experience with relationships in early recovery is I was so fearful. Mm-hmm. I was so fearful to do anything. Also, when I was in treatment, the guy that I had been seeing had passed away from this disease. So when I got out of treatment, for the first couple months, I stayed away from men entirely, and I went through the work, and I just started like working on myself really hard and taking a look at me. But my experience was that at 6 months sober, I got into a relationship, and here I am almost, and this is not many people's experience. No. And here I am coming up on 2 years sober, and I'm still in a relationship with that same person. And it's been really challenging at times, really challenging at times. And if I didn't have coping skills and a support network to rely on, I probably still wouldn't be sober.
No, so. and that's my thing. I see that, and I also see, like, you talked about behavioral addictions, mm-hmm. right? I've seen it so many times of people replacing one addiction with another, you know, and relationships can become an addiction when you're going through them over and over and over. You're looking for the honeymoon phase, the feel-good phase, and, you know, that ends, and then you moved on to the next one, and you don't realize the kind of wreckage that you're causing, you know, all the people that you're hurting, because it's not just you anymore. Mm-hmm. It's somebody else. You know, and that's kind of like any addiction. You know, there's always going to be people you don't necessarily think of that are being affected, but, you know, it's not just us, right? We're not the only people that we hurt.
That brings up another really good point is, like, just like relationships in general, right? Like, I believe that Ashley is referring to like intimate relationships, but mm-hmm. relationships in general, you know, in early recovery, sometimes can be pretty toxic. So it's like super important that you surround yourself with healthy individuals that want the best for you and want the best for themselves.
And that's one of the big things, right? So, like, I know for me, right, I crave acceptance.
Yes.
I do. And I'm going to look at the kids that seem like they have the most friends, mm-hmm. and I'm going to want to be their friend, and I'm going to want to hang out with them. And, like, I'm not knocking them or anything like that, but sometimes that's not the people that you want to be with, you know? Like, I went from having friends, I like to equate it to that analogy, the crabs in the bucket.
I've never heard that.
You've never heard crabs in a bucket?
No.
Okay, so if you take like a big, like pail, like a bucket, right?
Okay.
And you fill it with crabs, eventually a crab's going to try to crawl out of the bucket. Another crab will grab its leg and pull it back down.
What? Crabs
will keep themselves in the bucket. They won't let any of the other crabs get out. They'll all keep each other down.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Right? Okay. So, like, my whole thing is, like, if I'm hanging out with people that aren't necessarily like, looking to make a huge change, right? Mm-hmm. If they're just trying to stay the same, if they see one of their friends trying to make a change, they're going to want them to stay the same, too. Because then that means maybe I have to change.
Right, or look at myself.
Yeah. And, like,
I mean, energy's a real thing too, in my opinion, by the way. Just an opinion, I guess. But you know what I mean? Like, you tend to naturally just gravitate towards people who, like, are at the same place that you are.
Yeah, it's the whole water seeks its own level thing.
Right.
There's so many different analogies, and I've seen it all happen. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not just like a one-off thing, where it's just like, oh, it was just this one time I ended up hanging out with this kid. It's like, look at your pattern. If you're always hanging out with these people, you're always getting the same result. Why not try to hang out with people that are, you know, actively working to improve themselves,
right.
that are actively trying to better themselves, that are trying to help others? You know,
that's huge.
Like, one of the biggest things that I found is that people who are doing something, that are moving forward in their life, they're actually trying to change, they love to take people under their wing.
Yeah.
They love to show people how they did it and how they're going there. Mm-hmm. And those are the people I try to latch onto. And then in turn, maybe somebody sees, you know, me or you and wants to do the same thing, right? I know how many women you help. You know, it's astounding. But, like, you had help from other women too.
Yeah, and I still do.
Oh, 100%.
On a daily basis.
100%.
I talk to my top 5 almost every day.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, I certainly, and the last month of my life was a really rough month. You know, I had a lot of life happen and a lot of circumstances that I hadn't been through yet in sobriety. And at times I found myself really reactive and emotional, which is not something that I had experience with, you know, except for in early recovery.
Yeah.
Like my first couple months, I was super reactive. But
Yeah.
yeah, and so that was really tough to go through all that, and it was like emotionally draining. And those women were there for me every day. 100%. They're still there for me every day. Yeah. So the show's almost over, and so thank you everyone for watching. This show wasn't exactly you know, what we had planned it out to be, but it's Bobby's first show with us, and so that's really cool.
Something's got to go wrong.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah, and this is learning curve. So thank you guys for learning and growing with us. You know, we still do have a little bit more time, but the show is about offering hope and inspiring others and educating people. So I want to make sure too, in like the last couple minutes that we hit on that, but we do have a question. Oh, this is a really good question. Is it tough to be around family that are in active addiction? Do you have family in active addiction?
Not at the moment.
Okay, cool. So I want to end the show with some inspiration.
Yeah.
So I grew up with no sober role models at all. And that's just how I grew up, and that's okay. And so along the way, I was in and out of treatment, and I found sobriety for a while, but I didn't do the required work internally that I had to do. And through doing that, and by the way, my family is totally okay with me sharing this, my mom found her way. And my mom was my running partner for a long time. My mom found her way. I was not able to maintain sobriety, and I hated my mom that she was sober. And so me and my mom made it, and you know, I say we made it, but it's not like we've got this thing in the bag. It's work every day. But so my mom and I found our way to sobriety, and I have a younger brother that I literally love more than anyone else that I love in this entire world. You know, growing up the way we grew up, we just kind of grew up like in the trenches, and so all we had was one another.
Yeah.
And so my younger brother has been an active heroin addict since he was 14 years old, and he's 29. And so where that brought him is very similar places that brought me, like being homeless, not showering, not eating. And so, you know, for like the first year of my sobriety, I would go visit my younger brother in a tent that he lived in, you know, and I would bring him food when I could go see him, and I would bring him comfort items because I wasn't going to enable him, and bring him money.
Yeah.
And I would just cry and cry and cry, and I'd be like, you know, we're going to have to bury my brother. And that's not the case, because today my brother is 7 months sober.
Dude, look at that.
I know.
That's insane.
And I really believe that like I was an inspiration to him, and my mother was, and now he's like 7 months sober and he's thriving. But we got 45 seconds left. What do you want to tell our viewers?
If you're having any problems, if you need any help, if there's anything like that, there is a way out. There is a way to get better. It's worked for me. It's worked for you. It's worked for countless other people in my life. So you just don't have to keep doing the way you're doing. And if you have made it out, like, spread it.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's amazing. That's really awesome. No one said that on the show yet.
Really?
Yeah. Absolutely. Pass it on. Share with other people. You know, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your time. I love all of you. I really think we should end with Bobby's words all the time. Just spread the love to everyone. Love y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, welcome to I'm a Heroin Addict. My name is Jasmine, and I am a heroin addict. It's an honor to be here with you tonight. Thank you for sharing your time with us. We have a really awesome show in store for you, and I want to just take a minute to introduce Bobby. For those of you that don't know Bobby, Bobby is going to be the co-host of the show now, which is really cool because I've known Bobby for a while, and we do a lot of different things together. So it's awesome to bring your energy and your experience and on the show.
You know, I'm happy to be here, happy to share, you know, experience with the people, strength, hope, and like talk to some really cool people, doing some really, really cool things in the community, and you know, doing whatever they can to help.
It's what it's about.
You know,
that's really what it's about, helping and helping out the community too, especially in southern New Hampshire where we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The community is in dire need of help.
Yeah, it's you know, it's really a struggle. It's to get anybody some help. You know, it's not a quick you're in. You know, it's a half a day, a full day of calling. You know, and oddly enough, in the summer too, which usually I've never run into that problem, but it's you know, there's too many people who need help and not enough beds.
Right.
You know.
Not enough money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's tough to see, but you know, hopefully, you know, people start noticing, making differences, and you know, really doing something about it.
Well, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to do. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
You want to introduce our guest today?
Yeah. So today we have Jonathan. Jonathan, originally from the North Shore, now up in the Manchester and Concord area, doing some really cool things, and
trying.
I've heard you have an amazing story, so why don't you just kind of tell us about like
just get right into it.
Yeah, how you got you know into the field, into recovery, that kind of thing.
All right. So Jasmine promised me that the nerves would go after a few minutes.
They do.
Oh yeah, no, just relax.
So check in with me.
Yeah.
In like 20 minutes.
You'll be all right.
So I'm from the North Shore, Massachusetts. You know, I grew up an hour away from Manchester, but I had never been in Manchester in my life, so I really started fresh. But you know, drugs and alcohol were a lot of trouble for me since I picked up. You know, I picked up when I was 12 or 13 years old, and a lot of experience in treatment. You know, by 14 years old, I was drinking every day in school. And the school actually recommended to my family that I go to treatment. So when I was 14 years old, I was packed up and sent up to northern New Hampshire, a place that used to be called Beach Hill. It's on a mountain in the middle of nowhere. Okay. And I think it's Phoenix House now, I believe. That's the location. Yeah. So I went up there, and I think from that time, I kind of realized I had a problem. I believe that, you know, alcohol and drugs was a problem for me. However, I lived the next 20 years determined to make it work. Yeah. Determined to make it work. And I did become an IV, you know, heroin and cocaine user by 17 years old.
Wow, so that progressed quickly for you.
From first stream at 14 to shooting coke and dope at 17. That's
Do you mind? I'm going to ask anyway, so I don't even know why I asked. Do you mind? How old are you?
I'm 33 now.
33. Okay, so at 17, so you said you had carried on that journey for 20 years, so until you were like 34?
I'm 33 now.
Oh, yeah, I'm great at math. So what age did you get sober at?
31.
31. Okay.
So I you know, drugs and alcohol beat, you know, the blank out of me. I don't know if we swear on here. So,
we try not to.
Okay, so I'm trying. But it got me over and over and over again. I made so many decisions. I'm gonna stop. I'm done. And you know, and I was able to get time. I was able to put some time together. Okay. You know, in my mid-20s, I was abstinent for, you know, 5.5 years. Okay. But I was a lost soul. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was a lost soul. I was trying to. I was chasing all the things that I thought life was about. Yeah. Career, some money in my pocket, all that kind of, you know, superficial attitudes. You know, I was lost. I didn't know who I was.
Just the things that society says you're okay if you have.
Right. You know, like I think you mentioned in the last program, you know, no identity, no real identity. Yeah. And then I would put the drugs and alcohol down, and I still had no identity. So, so inevitably, I just kept picking up after all these times, and it's as much as you might know about yourself, somebody told me, self-knowledge avails nothing. And that is 100% my case. I was incarcerated as a child. I was incarcerated as an adult. Massachusetts has some nice section laws, Section 12,
I wish New
Section
Hampshire did.
35. That's a whole long discussion, but
There's so many times that for instance, my little brother, he just needed help, and there was no help. He tried to kill himself one time, and the emergency room wouldn't take him because he had drugs in his system, and they were like, "This is drug induced," and I was like, "Who are you to say that?"
right.
So I have a question then. The whole sectioning thing. Do you really think it does a whole lot of good? Do people really turn themselves around? Because I was always led to believe, and I even believe it for myself, I didn't get it until I really wanted it.
I mean, it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So when you're released, I had the opportunity to go to Bridgewater when they still did it there, and the Department of Corrections dropped me off at a train stop, and I was drunk as soon as I got to downtown Boston.
Yeah.
Could it have saved my life for that period of time? Maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? Things were not good when I got there.
Yeah.
Maybe something could have happened in that, couple months that I was there. So maybe it did something. I don't know.
Right.
Okay.
But
That's how I feel about MAT.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm certainly not for MAT, just based on my own experience and, the experiences that I've seen others have, but there's a very good chance that I wouldn't be alive today if I wasn't on that for the 3 years that I was.
Right.
No.
So,
Right. Yep. To each his own. I
Right.
mean, I know what's right for me right now.
Right, yeah.
I mean, not to say I haven't been on, MAT programs before in my life, and it probably got me to where I am today.
Right.
I'm sure it did. So.
No, I get it. There's so many different paths.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whatever you got to do to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. I've tried everything. I found something that works for me today.
Yeah. And what is that?
That 12-step.
Okay.
It's a 12-step program. I live it. It's the most important thing to me.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
number one.
Which is really cool, actually, because I don't really know you personally, so
Right.
that was a really exciting thing about having you on the show, because we are in the same community of individuals, and I've seen you around, I've heard about you for such a long time, and so you're sitting here describing who you were, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Because that's what recovery does for people. You're sitting in front of me, and not that success matters, but you're successful, and it's true, and it's genuine, and it comes from the heart, and you're clean, and you're put together, and most importantly, I know for a fact that you help many people.
I try.
And that's what it's about. And I would have never, the individual that you described to me as who you were in active addiction, I would have never pieced together that that's who's sitting in front of me.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's insane. It really is. It's just the amount that people can change. And I'm sure you've seen it through helping others too, and seeing what they can do.
Yes, and that inspires me and keeps me going.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
When you see others start to get well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, isn't it amazing?
And it's usually fairly quick.
Yes.
It's this fairly quick turnaround. You look at them and you're like, something's different. Something's different.
Know what I find? It's the ones that are just such a pain and so energy draining, and usually I'm like, oh God, I don't know how we're gonna help. Well, first of all, Jazz, you're not gonna help anyone because you're not that powerful.
No.
Right.
Okay, you're just gonna love them like you're supposed to.
See, the people that do that, it gets to me because that's me.
They're usually the ones that turn it around.
Yeah,
though.
no, there's just those are the kids that I'm like, oh my God, I see so much of myself in you.
Yeah.
You're just like me.
Yeah.
You're just like me.
Yeah.
And then, there was, what's the thing? What's it called? The pop sound? The pop
First
when your
time I
head.
heard it.
No, the pop sounds when your head comes out of your ear.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
okay.
And then you kinda get
Bobby,
it.
I'm so proud of you for not swearing the show.
I'm really trying.
Yeah, when he was the guest on the show, it was terrible. He dropped so many F-bombs.
Did I?
Yeah,
I
you
listened
did.
to it. I didn't hear.
They might have edited it.
Really?
Yeah, they might have edited it.
Did I really?
But anyway, so okay, so cool. So you had to go through what you had to go through, and you found your way. What are some struggles that you went through during finding your way?
So, to be honest with you, I actually, when I my beginning, I actually didn't think I was going to get sober.
Okay. For those of you watching and don't think that you're going to get sober, let's hear his experience.
So, things are really, really bad. I don't need to get into the graphic details. Things are really, really bad. My mom was diagnosed with a pretty terrible form of cancer, and I was running around on the streets, and I needed to give her some peace. I mean, she has been, ride or die. She has been my biggest fan, no matter what. So I ran to detox, like I always do, to hide out. And somehow through a bunch of events, I found my way up to New Hampshire, and I got sober. Without, like, when I was in that detox, I was taking my medication and everybody else's. Like, I was not there. I was not there thinking I was going to get sober. And then, somebody told me that, getting sober is not for people who want it. Getting sober is not for people who need it. It's for people that do it. And luckily, I was put in a situation with some really good role models. And I looked at them and I said, they're really not that much different than me. If they're doing it, I think I can do it too. And that's kind of when my journey started. And before I came on the show, I wanted to, it actually created a really great conversation with my mom, who I've been able to make amends to. We were talking about the idea of, like, enabling, families and stuff. And my mom saved my life many times. And I know a lot of parents out there struggle with, well, am I enabling him? Am I not enabling him? I think the likelihood is that any professional will probably say my mom enabled me in the past. But we both agree she saved my life. She saved my life. She did things that probably some people, would say, oh, you can't do that, shame. But no, she saved my life, 100%. I'm here because of her, and she inspired me to get sober, So it was a really great conversation that this show actually inspired us to have. So thank you for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's awesome.
So, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
So you wound up, you went through everything you had to go through, and you wound up, how'd you end up in Manchester?
It just so happened there was a per diem case manager that gave me a little bit of extra time, and I just wanted to use the phone. And she started.
I love the honesty.
She started to talk to me, and she asked me what I've done, and there was this little 12-step sober house that was in Manchester, and it's no longer there anymore. And she had just met with the owner recently, and it just so happened I went there. I was in a lot of legal trouble at the time. I had some
very motivated.
I had some warrants in Massachusetts, so the idea of coming up to New Hampshire sounded like a good idea too. So, it was just a bunch of events together that brought me up here, and I had no intention of staying up in New Hampshire, none. But then things started to happen, and I put something together, friendships and a sense of purpose that inspired me to stay. So here I am. I had no intention of staying in New Hampshire. I like the North Shore. I like the beach.
I agree with you. I'm from Connecticut, man. I always thought, I'm like, I'll stay up in New Hampshire for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Then I'll go back home.
Precisely.
And it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm still here.
Yeah.
Guys, I can't get away from New Hampshire. I don't want to leave New Hampshire.
Are you from
Yeah.
originally?
Yeah, everyone's like, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm just like a gypsy in New Hampshire. Like, I've lived everywhere in New Hampshire, but like, just New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
we have a question. You want to take it away?
Yeah, so the question is from Sarah. What is the first thing someone looking to get help should do? That's a great question. So what do you think?
You're looking at me, so you want me to answer.
It's directed to you.
There's a lot of places to call. You could call in, I imagine, this show, and the people who run this show can connect you to some help. I know New Hampshire has the safe stations that are a great option, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You probably know quite a bit about that.
Yeah, the safe stations are great just for an immediate community resource.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that work there really care.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to plug you into something.
Absolutely.
I think it's tough. It's weird, right? Because we've all been in the program for a while now, so we know if somebody calls us asking for help, we know immediately who to call.
Right.
You know, and I never thought about that for like when my family called the first time, they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah, and there's like recovery centers now.
Yeah.
There's, you know what I mean? There are all kinds of resources out there.
Even though I'm
You just got to reach out. My opinion, the first thing to do for someone that's looking for help, like have them get connected. Get connected. There's resources everywhere. There are people. When I'm not working, I'm volunteering my time to help people, and that's what I'm doing, and that's how I get to stay sober.
even going to meetings.
Anywhere, anything.
Yeah.
In Manchester, there's the nonprofit Hope Center. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
I know anybody can walk in there at any time, and they'll-
Google's a great resource.
Google.
I Google everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be aware and just, you know.
I think the fire station is definitely a good first option. They'll provide you with some
Absolutely.
Yeah,
information,
100%.
resources. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's no like profit driven or anything like
Yeah.
that. So
Right.
they really have the opportunity to
Yeah.
try to figure out what's available and what's best.
So I want to ask
know?
you, are you still nervous?
Not as much.
You loosened
you
up
go.
a little?
as much.
There you go.
Okay, cool. So what's life like now?
Life now. So I had went back to my old career, which I didn't even intend on doing that. I repaired a bunch of relationships in my life. Some of those previous employers, and without that being the motive to repair those relationships, I was asked to go back to an old job. I'm a paralegal, and I went back to that for about a year, and it wasn't sitting right with me. It didn't feel right. I hit the ceiling, so to say, in that professional, a while ago, and I wanted to do more. And I am really connected with the recovery community, and some other things seem to be, put in front of me, and it seemed right. So me and my friend operate a sober house in Manchester. It's a 12-step sober house. We're really proud of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We need so much more of it in New Hampshire.
I know I had someone text me today and they were like, hey, I need a list of sober houses for Manchester. And I was like, shoot, I'm not at work, but like I'll just wing what I have off the top of my head. And so I was able to like put together, I think, like 6 sober houses. And then she was like, no, for women. And I was like, oh.
Uh-oh.
I was
Yeah.
like, there's one that I know of in Manchester.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, so there, there was an article written about our house.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with some.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, and I want to say that the Manchester Fire Department has been very good to us and very cooperative. But the way the law is written, any house, any home, any dwelling with more than 3 unrelated individuals, the requirements for that house are automatic sprinklers, which is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be upwards of $100,000. So a lot of these small sober houses, that collect a nominal weekly rent, that's not within their resources to do that. So I know a lot of sober house owners that are a little bit afraid to be out there,
Right.
and advertise because they don't want that backlash from the fire
And
department.
the community needs these houses. They do.
absolutely.
It's just, I hear people talking, right? Like, how can we make a difference? How can we make a difference? And it's like, we need more case managers, or we need more respite beds, right? But like, what are those people that are getting out of respite, that are getting out of detox? Are you sending them to go live back in the same exact environment that they were just getting high in?
Right.
Like, I know for me personally, right? I couldn't stay sober back home.
Right.
Around the same old people, doing the same old thing. Like, I had to be in an environment that was conducive to sobriety, that had people that were not only showing me what to do through their actions,
Mentors,
but
role models.
yeah, and they're gonna not co-sign anything that I'm doing.
Right.
Because back home I could connive my family into doing anything.
You need to cultivate a healthy community.
Yeah,
It
and-
takes a community to get someone well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just, there's not enough of them.
So what is the outcome?
So, we hope, and there have been some other states that the rulings have come down that a sober house community that lives together like that is more of a family unit.
Oh, okay. Which, in my experience of going through sober houses, they literally become your
Right.
family.
Yeah. So I mean, the worry is like boarding houses. which they consider us a boarding house. I disagree, but they consider us a boarding house. And in a boarding house, you could have locks on all the bedroom doors. You don't know who your neighbor is. So the point, if there was a fire, people are going to save themselves and run out. Their position is that a family unit, they will do more to try to make sure that people get out safely. So I challenge that because the monitoring at our sober house is far greater than many families. There's no smoking in the house. There's no incendiary devices. There's no candles. There's none of that going on. We have rules and regulations that they have to sign, that they have to abide by. We have 3 house managers monitoring, 24/7. I challenge the idea that we're not as safe as a family.
Furthermore, anyone that is truly invested in their own personal recovery would do anything to help another being.
Right.
No,
yeah.
It's I've literally been in a sober house where people gave me the shirt off their back.
Yeah.
So ultimately, a decision like this, all small sober houses that collect weekly rent would have to be shut down if they wanted to be successful with what they're doing. And I want to make it clear, I have no qualms with the Manchester Fire Department. The chief and the deputy chief have been very good to us. They're doing their job. They're looking at it through the scope of fire, and there's no decision in New Hampshire that considers us a family unit. So, we're exploring a lot of different options.
Good.
We are appealing the decision to the state fire marshal. And I didn't ask for a crusade. But here I am.
Sometimes we're given not what we wanted and what we need to do, what our destiny and purpose is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe that 100%. My friends would probably laugh at me because I'm going to say something you said. You said sometimes we don't. It's not what we want, or something like that. The movie Bruce Almighty. Do you know?
I'm a
with Jim
terrible
Carrey.
Person. Okay.
So Jim Carrey gets the opportunity to play God, and by Morgan Freeman, who really is God. And so Jim Carrey gets all these prayers emailed to him. Okay, and finally he just gets so fed up, he says yes to them all. And the region goes to absolute turmoil and chaos. So he wants to try to fix it. So he runs back to God, who's Morgan Freeman, and he says, "I just gave them what they want." And Morgan Freeman looks at him and says, "Since when do they know what they want?"
Right. Oh my God, I have goosebumps right now.
So
oh my God.
I watched that movie again when I was, a month and a half, a couple months in. And when he said that clicked to me so much. I would say that is my strongest spiritual belief and understanding of what my life needs to be. Like, truly, I can't dictate tomorrow or where I'm going. And my experience has shown that things are a lot better when I don't. A lot.
Yes.
So
100%. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah.
I love that your spiritual backing is Morgan Freeman. I don't disagree with that.
I can totally identify.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. But yeah, no, the whole wants versus needs.
Absolutely.
I could want everything under the sun, and it's not going to make me happy.
Absolutely.
All I need really is human connection, good friends, and working on myself.
And I found that, and that all takes priority. That's the most important to me. That's part of my recovery, friendships.
Connection. Well,
connections,
because in my experience, so we went a while without the shows, but recently I lost my job, I lost my place to live, my car got totaled, and so I was put in a position where I didn't have all these things that I thought that I needed. And what happened for me is my friends stepped up to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Someone provided me a place to live. Someone loaned me money. Someone gave me a vehicle and and I didn't even know what I was going to do. I have this amazing job, and this was not my plan. I was going to stay where I worked forever.
Yeah.
I was going to die doing that job because I loved it and I believed in it and I believed in what they do and I still do. I'm going to tell you what, the universe has thrown me on a completely different path and I love it and I believe in what I do and I'm growing and there's so much more opportunity.
Right.
It wasn't what I wanted, it was what I needed.
Right.
So and all that stuff had to crash and burn to the ground to open the door to all the new possibility.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we have another question though.
You want to read it? You want me to read it?
You read it, you do it.
All right. So where's all the money that the federal government or the states are supplying for the opioid crisis?
Bobby?
Honestly, I have no idea.
I have I'm not educated enough on that to answer that. I mean, I could have. What I will say is that there are lots of resources.
There are.
There are lots of resources.
I mean, coming from Massachusetts, we have a detox on every corner. There's a ton of facilities. Certainly coming up to New Hampshire, it's not even close to what it could be or should be. Hopefully, there will be a lot more facilities and options for people in the future. I don't know. I don't know where the money is going.
Yeah.
I don't know. Awareness.
Maybe we could look into that.
Yeah, everyone should educate, and especially us. Like we are the individuals that have been chosen to walk this path and help other people. Like maybe thank you for the question. We need to educate ourselves.
Yeah,
right.
And I mean, all I hear is Medicaid rates are dropping.
Yeah.
Medicaid reimbursements are dropping. So,
yep, I'm hearing the same thing.
So I don't know.
And it's hard. Yeah, it's harder for facilities to accept Medicaid when they're not even when Medicaid won't even pay literally the cost of housing someone for a day. How you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it costs money to run these treatment centers. I wish all beds were free, but it costs a lot of money to care for someone.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't know, I won't speak on everyone, but I'll share my experience. I was literally crazy coming off drugs.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I needed people there. So the show's almost over. Can you believe it?
It's okay.
Can you believe it? It's been a half an hour.
Wasn't bad.
No.
It wasn't that. You're not nervous anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No.
See, so in
I'm
30
good.
seconds, what would you say to someone who's
God.
struggling?
Someone who's struggling?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
You got 20 seconds.
I mean, all I can say, I mean, like I said before, I didn't think I could get sober, but I did give myself an opportunity by at least getting into a detox, and something happened there. So I guess if you're struggling, just reach out for help. That's really all I can say, and hopefully something will happen to you like it happened to me.
Yeah.
You know?
So this was an excellent show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It was
Appreciate
great.
it.
I've been a basket case for like a week.
Really? Have you been overthinking it that much?
Thank you guys. We love you all. Thank you.